Welcome to the Play Ed 3 podcast, where you're the reoccurring guest, whether you're in the classroom or shaping education behind the scenes. I'm Tisha Poncio.
And I'm Rick Butterworth. Together, we bring stories, insights, and conversations that matter to educators, learners, and change makers. Our goal is to bring everyone together to learn, grow, and play. Welcome to the Play Ed 3 podcast. My name is Rick, and as always, I've got my co-host here, Tisha. Tish, I feel like you're going to get ganged up on this time for a change.
Why do you say that? I don't even
know
why
you would... We always have in every single episode that obviously doesn't include just you and me. When we have a guest, it's always someone on the other side of the pond from myself, always in America.
What I hear you saying is that
9 times out of 10, it's usually a Texan. So I'm definitely being
international. Our podcast is international, is what I hear you saying.
It is international.
Well, what question do you have for me?
I mean, how do you feel that you're going to get ganged up on for this time? You're actually going to be the one that's not going to know fully what's going on, and I'm not going to be sat there kind of scratching my head going, what on earth are you talking about?
I think I will know what's going on. So that's what I have to say about that.
You've spent way too much time with me is basically what you're saying.
I mean, I have to tell you that we did have a request in one of our most recent episodes for, I think, someone from the UK to join. I vaguely remember someone asking us.
Are you going to tell you that I'm going to have to look back over all our episodes to try and pull that snippet out? Okay,
no,
right. Let me make a note to make sure I pull that out.
What I am, I mean, we could, but what I am saying is that our listeners have been telling us who they want to hear from. And it's been really interesting because we do have some surprises coming with some people that have been requested. But this guest today, I've been really excited about because I don't even know really and truly, like, I found her, but it was an accident. And it was through my day job, I guess you could say, that I found her. But then I started finding her TikToks and I realized we had a lot in common. So Rick, I know you already know Amy, but the listeners and the viewers do not know Amy. So today, everyone, we have with us Amy Parks, and she is from the UK, and she is going to talk to us about those things. You know that I like, if I could move to the UK right now, right immediately today, I would do it. I would literally, I would downsize and minimalize everything I own to move to the UK. Because
I still ask you
amazing.
Every single time, why? Why? Because you keep saying it's amazing, and then there's me saying I want to move to the US.
Yeah,
should we just swap places?
Yeah, we could. It's because I don't even know how to explain it. I'm not sure that I have a satisfactory answer for anybody, even you and Amy right now. But let's get into it. Yep. Amy is a teacher, and she's also Tech for Learning digital lead. So she is a teacher, and she's doing digital implementation and coaching with her teachers. She has 15 years experience. We're going to talk about that. I know she's going to tell you a little bit more. She has so many cool points in her little entry that she filled out, and we're going to dive into it. So my first question, Amy, is can you give our viewers and our listeners just a short blurb about who you are, what your purpose and passion is?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have, as Tish said, been in education for about 15 years, but not all of that was as a teacher. So I spent 11 years as a teaching assistant, working my way up to be a higher level teaching assistant for the last 6 years of that journey, and then doing something that was fairly new to the kind of university educational area, which was a teaching apprenticeship. So I worked at one school and did all of my training and education-based assignments and things there, and then ended up getting my qualification and my qualified teacher status, and then moved to the school that I'm at now, which is like tech bonanza. Absolutely brilliant, and they've been fantastic at giving me opportunities to be able to use tech in some really good and interesting ways. So I am passionate about technology. It is it's my bread and butter. It's just the best thing. And I love it, not just for the sake of it being flashy or showy. It's the little things that I find are the best. So my real passion project at the moment is empowering the teachers that I work with to use the everyday wonderful tech. Those little things that we can use for accessibility to be able to make sure that every single child in that classroom can access what you are doing, and using tech as kind of the platform to have an equitable education rather than it being equal. So not all children will use all of the same tech, but it will mean that they all are successful. And
wow,
that's a little bit.
That's great elevator pitch, Amy. But you did say something about bread and butter, and so it just so happens that I have bread and jam and butter. Now it's going to be interesting.
Hold on. Before we go anywhere, did you put your butter on top of the jam?
I know. I'm already going to talk about this. Let me address it. You haven't even. You're right. You were
Tish,
ready to attack me.
I'm offended in British.
Don't be offended. All of you that are watching that are from the UK, listen carefully to what I need to say.
I'm ready. I'm listening.
So when I wake up in the mornings, I know you are, and this is not a normal habit, what you just saw. I need to clarify that, okay? Sometimes, because all of you know that I have ADHD, and so I go in autopilot when I get in the kitchen, and sometimes I forget a step. So I'll give you an example. Here's an example. I know how to make coffee, Rick. No judgment across the pond, okay? So I know how to make coffee, and I grind my beans, and I, do my shots. And then I had my coffee the other day, and I forgot the step of steaming the milk. So I just put the milk in the coffee and like a spoonful of sugar, and then I drank it, and I went, wait, why is it so cold? And it's because I forgot to steam my milk, okay? So I put my jelly on my toast before I took the butter out of. I keep my butter in my fridge, so I took the butter out of the fridge. I still find it weird that you call it
jelly.
Okay, well, jam. It's jam. This one's actually jam, technically. It is. I will post a picture out or something to satisfy you. But I put the jam on the bread, and then I looked at it and went, oh, no. I've forgotten a step. So I went and got the butter, and I put it on the jam, which I know. I already know, Amy and Rick, because do you know what I always do? The butter first, then the jam. And I've learned this on my trips to and fro from America to London and Manchester. They always serve, right, the bread with the clotted cream and the jam. It's like all together. Well, I always put the butter on first because I want it to melt and seep into the bread. And then I put my jam on. So I don't feel like you're satisfied with my answer, either one of you. Now I'm feeling very judged as an American, but I know the right way to do it, okay?
See, there is no judgment. This is a judgment-free zone.
Okay. We're okay to judge on the podcast. I mean, I do it every time.
Did Rick get that memo, Amy? Because I'm not sure he did.
It's just very different.
I know.
I mean, as Tish says, there's a way, not the way. But I mean, when it comes to
I agree with you. When I'm in, so I'm also, I didn't tell you this, but I'm also working with gluten-free bread. So that's a whole situation on its own. And so that's where we're at. But go ahead.
I don't tend to butter and jam. Do you, Rick?
When I'm feeling like it, yeah. Because sometimes you can find that if you've buttered it but it's not melted, then it becomes like a concoction.
That's what is happening here.
Yeah. But the one thing I just want to point out, Tish, for those that aren't watching this on like YouTube or through Spotify and just hearing it through the audio, what I noticed for a brief moment
I briefly did it.
Was the toast with the jam and then just what looked like a small block of butter right in the middle of it.
It wouldn't melt.
Which is why it stood out so much to me.
I will tell you, not only am I feeling a little bit judged, Rick, by being an American right now, but I'm also feeling a little judged about being neurodivergent, because this is what happens on a daily basis. There will be a step that I have skipped. And it is just because my brain is on autopilot. And so it's something different every day. I mean, truly. Sometimes I forget to put my bins by the curb, and now I have to wait a whole nother week.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's a whole thing. I mean, you're laughing because you
Yes.
just were ready to attack me with Amy. I know what you were doing.
Look,
You had a pre-meeting with Amy before I got
It wasn't
here.
about preparation.
Yeah.
You literally
That's what it was.
handed it to us, literally
I
on a
will
plate.
always well, I'll just be adding to that because right now I'm not drinking tea. And this is the other thing. I wanted to be drinking official tea while Amy was on this podcast. And because I went on autopilot, I made coffee instead. But I do have PG tips, Amy.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, which Rick told me was the best. And I do have a teapot, a little fancy one, and I make tea, especially on the days that I take my medicine. So I think Amy would probably be a good teacher for me. Rick, do you know why? Probably for both of us. If we were in Amy's classroom, I do truly think that we would thrive in Amy's classroom because
I will agree with you.
She's fostering this well-being and belonging. And I joke that there is judgment here, but I know for her as a teacher, she's not approaching her classroom in judgment in any way. And it's just because I get to follow her on TikTok, but I also know what she's about behind what she just briefly introed herself with. What I want to know, Amy, is you were teaching assistant first. Mm-hmm. And I want to know if there were any key moments of inspiration or intuition that made you decide, yes, I want to be a full-time teacher?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think there were many moments over the course of my career. I did briefly talk to Rick before we started about my journey through to. We colluded. We did.
We had it ready.
We were prepared. But my journey through to get my degree and my qualified teacher status was a very elongated one. It spanned some full-time university, some distance learning with the Open University, having 2 children in between. It took me a while to get there, and it wasn't through, lack of wanting. It was something that I'd wanted fairly early on in my career. It was just something that I was striving towards slowly and sustainably, something that I could manage and maintain without it adding too much onto the pile, so to speak. But there are a few points where I thought, if that had have been me at the front of the room, I wouldn't have done it that way. Mm-hmm. And if I'd have been at the front of the room, I'd have dealt with that situation differently. And it got to a point where I thought, if that's the way that I'm thinking, that there's so many different things I could do, but I was limited because of the role that I held within that kind of institution. It made me realise that actually, if I want to kind of move forward and create some change here, I'm going to need that next step up to be able to make sure that I can affect not just a small group of people or, in one individual child, but being able to push that to a class and then to the whole school. It gave me that platform to be able to kind of push those things out and make those little mini successes more wider successes within that school.
Amy, what I hear you saying, and you've said it a couple of times, and this will surprise no one, including Rick, but I can see patterns. I didn't know that I could for a long time. And the pattern I hear as you're speaking to us and our listeners is the little things. It's all about these little micro habits or these little pieces and nuggets of information, and you're using those to build the mountain. So I always think about when I say that, little pebbles. I mean, it wasn't like a mountain was just there. There was a step by step. You can't even scale a mountain, in one step. I mean, I guess you could cheat and you could take a helicopter, but if you're really truly doing it right, you have to do step by step by step, and it's little by little. And I've heard you say that a couple of times, even as you are talking about how you got to this 15 years in technology. It was an elongated process, as you said. I want to know, and I just want to lean into this a little bit. I know that well-being is like a philosophy you have and is at the center really of everything you do. So I have a couple of questions around that. I want to know, how does intuition play a role into your job every day? And I also want to know, in order to do that, how do you keep yourself grounded?
Ooh, okay. So, when you're at the front of a classroom and you are responsible, I mean, in the UK, our class sizes are anywhere from 30 to 30 plus. Generally, I don't know many classes that are below that. You are on alert all the time because you are managing a huge group of tiny human beings that are in your care, and it is so important that each individual child gets your time during that day. And I block my time very carefully. But there are some things within the classroom that you just notice. Relationships are so important in the classroom. And I find that when you've built that relationship with those children, you instinctively know when something has changed. You can see it, you can feel it, you hear it, and you see these tiny changes that all of a sudden you'll spot and you'll realise something's going on there. Something's not right with that child, something's going on, they need some help, they need some support, they need space, whatever they need. And there's lots of different techniques that I use within my classroom for that. As well-being's such a big focus in my classroom, because children aren't going to be successful if they don't feel right. And I think it's so important that we look after that. We look after the children first. They're not going to learn anything. They're not going to take anything in if they are not cared for, and they know that they're cared for, that they're safe with you, that they are in an environment that is there to take care of them. I say to my class at the start of every year, and I ask them regularly through the year, what's my main job? What's my main job? And they get it. They get it eventually. It doesn't take them long. And I go, what's my main job? And they say, to make sure that we're safe and happy. They never say to teach us, which as a teacher you would think. Yeah.
That's so interesting, and that is going to probably be a clip, I'm sure, because I think it's interesting, and I want to point this out. I know Rick has a question for you, and about what you've just said. I know he's prompting it behind the scenes, but so many people who are not teachers, and that's going to include your parents. It's going to include business owners in the community. It's going to include university students. It would include even the teams behind the technology that you love, Amy, that do not know truly what else you're doing as a teacher because your title, teacher, they believe, oh, well, so she's teaching all day. But what does that actually mean, right? And I want our listeners, I don't even want Amy to answer this because we're not taking time for that. You can research, if you're listening and you're not a teacher, on what is involved. But you would be amazed at the things that teachers are doing that encompass the title teaching. And I'm saying anywhere from what Amy said down to putting crayons in a box and labeling them for every 30 plus students, or creating name tags. There are so many things that go into the little tiny details that I just don't think, and teachers are too exhausted to tell you. If you're listening, they don't want to tell you. Go find a family teacher friend and they'll tell you. Find someone safe to ask, but don't ever assume that teachers are just teaching. And I want to say this because I want to speak for, I always will advocate for the teachers. It is just something that I'm passionate about, but I have heard so much in social media, community forums and things like that. Well, teachers should do this and teachers should teach more and do this less and whatever it is. And I hate statements like that. I don't like using the word hate very often. I hate statements like that because I feel like it is so demeaning to our teachers. And our teachers, we have so many teachers just like you over here in America, Amy. And we can dig a little bit deeper. I'll let Rick do that on the differences of the UK education system versus America. But at the end of the day, I just want to say the teacher's job, no matter where they're teaching, I don't care what place in the globe, is hard. And Amy is just giving you a little bit of a view into what she's doing and how she's really teaching her students. But how incredible that that your students already know why you are there. There is no question about what you were doing for them. I love that so much.
Yeah.
Go on, Amy.
I want them to know that they are safe in my room. That is the main thing. It's why I've put so much effort into my environment, making sure that my classroom is welcoming, making sure that there's spaces for them to break away from the main group if they need to. I think looking after them as people helps them excel. So it's really, really important to me. And when I'm manifesting, we've talked about this, Tish, before. I am manifesting.
Yes.
When I am a deputy head teacher or a principal one day, or I will make sure that is a school-wide culture, that whole school, wherever I take over to nurture and make the best that it can be, that school will be well-being focused, and it will be so central to everything, because it does just make a huge difference when they're comfortable and safe. There's no stopping them. There's no ceiling. They can just go.
Well, absolutely. You think about it, and you think about if anybody isn't feeling safe, they are in fight or flight mode all the time. And when you are in fight, flight, or freeze mode as a student or an adult, there is nothing that you're going to be interested in learning. You are just surviving. And I think it's very, very important for people to, if you aren't familiar with what Amy is talking about, research it. Rick's question, I believe, is going to give you more insight into where Amy's thought process comes from.
I'm just jumping straight in, am I?
Well, I thought you could.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. I'm more than welcome to, but it's just...
You've been talking about all kinds of bits and bobs, and I feel
you just
like
wanted to say bits and bobs, then,
I
didn't
did.
you? Yeah, I knew straight off.
I heard that little British phrase.
I love it.
See, I'm just breaking it down that it's not just questions and answers. I mean, I can see that there's things that you want to say, Tish, that want to just slide in. You've got two Brits on. You want to bring out your British side.
I feel like I really am British, Amy. If you haven't, I think I might have lived a previous life in the UK, and I just don't remember it all. But everything there seems so familiar.
It's just in there.
It's just inside of me, yes.
Yeah. Amy, have you ever seen the TV show, I think it's Keeping Up Appearances?
Yes.
Back in the day. I think Tish doesn't know what that is, I don't believe. But
I mean, just based on the title, I feel like I'm being judged again.
I feel like Tish is going to eventually become that, but in America, but in a British form.
Yeah.
So, Tish, after this episode, we're going to show you a couple of clips of Keeping Up Appearances, and I think that's where you're going to go. Okay. But anyway, going back to what we were just talking about with well-being, one of the things you say is you do a Wellness Wednesday.
Yes.
I'm very curious to know more about that to start with, because it's the first time I personally have heard someone that's actually dedicated a day to wellness. And how powerful has that actually been, having that in your classroom?
It has literally transformed my class. When I started teaching, I knew I wanted it to permeate through my whole week. But there is a specific day, which is a Wednesday. I chose Wednesday because of the well-being and the alliteration. I'm a teacher. Please don't judge.
I love it. My most recent Instagram post is alliteration because of that, Amy.
It just tickles something in my brain. I just love it. Yeah. And I wanted there to be a specific day where we just focused on well-being a little bit more in depth. So we have, at the start of every day, we do a start of the day activity. And for all the other days of the week, it is focused on what the children need to kind of push their learning on in Excel. So if it's handwriting, or they need help with arithmetic, or they're working on reading comprehension, it's tailored to them, and I deliver it out through Microsoft Teams. So it's tailored specifically to each child. They can go and access their own folder. I train them how to do it the first few weeks. They know what they're doing. On a Wednesday, however, we have a whole class wellbeing activity. So it is based on a multitude of different things. I try and keep it specific to that class. So I don't follow a syllabus particularly. I just focus on what I notice that class needs in that particular moment. So let's say, for example, there's a few children in the classroom that are having some disagreements, and they're not dealing with that in the best way. Rather than singling them out, we do a whole class right then. This week, for Wellbeing Wednesday, we are going to focus on what to do when conflict arises. And we do activities based around that. So what can we do? They all separate into groups. They all have a conversation, a discussion. They gather their ideas together, and then we sometimes will use Lumio. Sometimes we'll use, they'll use flip chart paper, whatever it kind of feels like at the time. And then we gather those all back together, and we sit and talk. And then we'll maybe role play some stories. We'll do some kind of some English things, which I've found quite interesting. Things like Conscious Alley, which is where you stand them down the middle. For anybody that's listening that doesn't know what Conscious Alley is. So you stand all the children down in a line. One side is kind of the positive side, and the other side is the negative side. You have someone walk down the middle, and they kind of say positives and negatives, a bit like an angel devil on the shoulder kind of thing. So you'll have one side saying the kind of negative things. So they might say, oh, shout at them, tell them they're wrong. And the other side will say, no, you need to do this. You should try and, be comforting. Go and get an adult to help you understand, And by the time they get to the end, we then discuss what's been shouted out, and we come up with something that the class agree on, what to do during a conflict, and we put that up on the wall, and it's there all year. So whenever they're thinking, oh, how do I deal with this? It's there. It's up on the wall. It's there for them to do. And then I'll record a little video, a little bit like this, where I do a little bit of a kind of recap, I guess. So today, guys, we talked about conflict resolution. Here's the things we came up with. Just a quick 30-second thing, and I put that into our Teams area as well, so they can go back to it at any point, listen, and refresh their memory. If they then do get into conflict later and they don't do it the best way, I go, oh, guys, do you remember on Wellbeing Wednesday when we talked about this? Go watch that video again, remind yourself, how do we solve that conflict when something comes up? So that's Wellbeing Wednesday in a very quick nutshell.
I wish we could do that with
amazing.
Adults, Amy.
We
can you
need
imagine?
it every week.
Yeah. Maybe that should be the Wellbeing Wednesday should go on my TikTok or something.
I think that's a good
I think
idea,
I think you
actually.
should.
I think that's a fabulous idea, because I have never heard of that. But what I love about that activity is that you're essentially having them really sit in the perspective of either the positive or the negative. So, I know students have difficulty sometimes arguing the opposite side of what they believe. That has to be so challenging for some of them. If you put me on the negative side, I would struggle with that, I think.
Yeah, and I think with the shift in focus in this new government that we have in the UK, where they're looking at Oracy. So looking at how children speak and how they communicate with one another, there is a big, big focus on that going forwards. So I think that type of activity where they're discussing and they're talking and they're finding ways to communicate in a positive and structured way, it allows them to then push their learning forward when they are then having to discuss things in an educational perspective or from an academic perspective, where they can actually articulate what they're trying to say in a way that isn't combative, or if they're trying to argue different viewpoints, they're doing it respectfully rather than jumping in on top of each other to try and get their point across. And especially with the children I work with in the year group I work with, they've just come out of Key Stage 1. So they're 7 years old. They're still learning how to human.
Absolutely.
They don't understand always that you shouldn't just jump in and interrupt somebody. If I've got something to say, I'm going to say it now, and other people will stop and listen, but that's not how when they get older and becoming an adult, that's not how it should work,
Right.
So it's important, I feel, to make sure that they understand how to have a proper conversation. And these Wellbeing Wednesdays really help with that. It fosters that environment of respect and kindness and turn-taking, but also how to deal with their own emotions and when big feelings, because big feelings are hard. I say that in my classroom all the time. I go, oh, big, if they're getting upset about something, I go, I get it, buddy, big feelings are hard. And they need a toolkit. They need strategies to be able to make sure they can navigate their way through that.
Well, so can you tell me again, I find it fascinating that you said the UK government is pushing what did you call it? And what is this?
Oracy.
Yes. For the Americans listening, can you clarify that just a little bit? And then I have a follow-up question on that.
Absolutely. So Oracy is the focus on speech. It's focus on how people talk. And the purpose of why they talk. So it's a lot to do with communication, a lot to do with fluency, and it's the how people speak. So it's encouraging children to be able to speak well, and if you can speak, you're learning well. It tends to stick. It also helps with other areas in terms of reading and things like that. But that's why the focus is so heavily on that speech at the moment, because the data nationally is showing that the reading and speaking and being able to articulate learning is low across the country. So they want a heavier focus on, talking out loud, reading out loud, so children are able to successfully talk about the things that they're learning, because when they do tests, they can do it, as in that, the scores haven't gone down. They can tick a box. They can write down why, they know what they know. But when you ask them to explain what they know, it's I'm not sure. Or they'll say, oh, well, it's kind of like maybe sort of. Yeah, and it's just lots of filler words, so you don't really...
Yeah, Rick, remember all the filler words? Rick and I would talk about filler words for a long time. But it's interesting. I'm going to be a little cheeky here, you guys, because I want to talk about... What?
When aren't you cheeky?
Always. Always. I know. Because you did bring it up, Amy. So I'm kind of tiptoeing a line here, but I want to talk about the differences in the UK government and the US government and kind of some of the focuses, because what I find so interesting, I'm in Texas, for those of you that do not know. And if you look up the new Texas laws that teachers are implementing right now, there is one law, just to kind of summarize it, around DEI. And there's also this push for parents to have a say in so many things. Probably we could include well-being and emotional well-being and conflict resolution into that. And there is an idea here, probably not just in Texas, but I'm here, so I'm just going to kind of make it, where I am, that it is not the job of the teacher. I'm kind of playing devil's advocate here, but it's not the job of the teacher to teach my child what well-being is for them. And it's not really the job of the teacher to be teaching, social emotional learning. It's like the SEL has gotten a bad rap or a bad reputation. And so I want to hear from you just a little bit on where do you believe the teacher's responsibility begins and ends with well-being and social emotional learning?
Oh, really good question. I think there is a dual responsibility, because parents have a lot of responsibility in terms of, making sure they're cared for, and especially, up to that school age where it's all on them. There's, unless they go to a nursery or something along those lines, a lot of that comes through them. However, I will then caveat and go into the fact that as teachers, I think if we don't provide that equitable understanding, we are part of raising those children. They're with us more, they're with us more in some cases than they are with their parents throughout the year. And I think we also don't, maybe not necessarily have although we don't have a legal responsibility in some regards, although there are certain legal aspects to it. But I think we have, as part of our teacher standards, we're told to make sure that we look after these children to the best of our ability. But also morally, I think we've got a responsibility to make sure we're in these positions where we are caring for a lot of children over our career. And there are, for a year, there are 30 children within your care on a daily basis. And if we don't teach them these skills, if they come into our room without them and they leave without them, I feel like we've just done them a huge disservice. If their parents are also teaching them and reinforcing that positive understanding of their own well-being and their own mental health, great. That's fantastic. And I love that we're on the same page, that we are all working together to make sure that these pupils grow up to be really understanding of their own mental health. But if they don't get that at home, I don't think I could go through my career not making sure that those children understand how to look after themselves and their own well-being, because it's not just their body. And a lot of people will focus on that side of it and not always focus on the mental health side of things. And it can be tricky to talk about. It can be really difficult. It can feel uncomfortable. It can be nerve-wracking for a parent. I'm a parent myself, and having to speak to your children about these kinds of things can be really scary. But I think, as a parent who does talk about mental health with my children, they've got it from both sides. Perfect. Love that. Teachers are talking about it. I'm talking about it, as well as, their dad. It's coming together. Great. But for those that don't, we've got to. We can't send them out into the world not understanding the tools that are available to them to make sure that they live their best life when they leave us. And I just think it would be so wrong for us not to do that and kind of shun that responsibility. But it's not like I do any policy, so I can only affect what I can do.
No, you're absolutely right, and I think that's a really good point for the teachers listening. Really, anybody listening, is that if everybody's doing what they can do when they can do it, when they have that opportunity, to make the students understand their emotions. I think that's part of Rick and I talk about leadership in our book, and I am that student. I will always represent the student that you just talked about, the one that was not getting the reinforcements at home, the one that was going to school, and that was the only place I was learning, not just the academics, but I was learning the social, I was learning how people were dealing with their emotions. I was doing it in observation a lot of times. I was the student that was not receiving that. Like we talk about, safety needs, security, belonging, all of Maslow's hierarchy of needs or whatever. Like I believe, what's the bottom one? Security?
Physical, but the bottom's physical,
yes.
And then there's self-actualizations at the top.
So, when you look at that hierarchy of needs, you're really talking about those students, and there are students that are definitely coming to you that are getting all of that. Like, I always, and I have become more vocal about my past as a student and just as a child in general, but the safety needs, the security and predictability in one's environment, that wasn't happening for me. The stable, so I was going to school feeling that everything was going to be unpredictable, but the ability to go to school into a teacher's classroom and then providing what you just outlined in your whole episode, that is what has helped me and allowed me to overcome what I grew up in to be who I am now. And I think it's very important to highlight that. I will always, I'm with you, Amy. I believe in it so much. I believe that we should take them in. We would be doing a disservice. And we are to the world if we're not creating that environment. I know Rick probably has something that he wants to come in and say as well to that point.
I mean, the first thing I was going to say is, do you want to just explain what Maslow's hierarchy of needs actually is? Because I'll be completely honest. First time I heard about it this afternoon. So,
that's not true. Rick is telling a lie without meaning to. You know how sometimes you forget things, and I told you I forgot about the.
Are you going to tell me it's in our book?
I am going to tell you that because we did research it. We did talk about it, and I know that I have told you about it.
What page?
He's got to go find it. Go to the very end and look in the index. But Amy, I think you're familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Do you want to just overview that for anybody listening who's like Rick, who's forgotten they've heard of it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think I first came across it when I was doing my initial, not my teacher training, but the training that I received to be a TA. They talked about that a lot, and it's an educational psychological theory that is laid out in the shape of a pyramid. The pyramid kind of goes up from physical needs at the bottom, so it's basically all of the things that a person needs in their life to be kind of successful when they and be able to function. So it starts off with things like really basic things like air, water, food, like the real kind of basic physiological things that they need. And then it moves through being able to, feeling safe, being able to have love and belonging, self-esteem, and then goes through to the very top of the pyramid, which is the self-actualization and being able to excuse me, things like acceptance and feeling comfortable, and yeah, that's basically it in a nutshell. Speed tour of Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
No, absolutely. And if you're listening, and Rick will put some links referencing Maslow's if you are unfamiliar with that. He's still looking in our book, and he's going to say, Tisha, it's not in here. And even if it isn't actually written, did you find it?
I found it. It's mentioned
good.
in one sentence.
Do you want to share with the class? What is it?
No, it says it just basically says if you want to create a good classroom, use Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Literally is basically what it says right at the end of one of the chapters. And if you want to know what that chapter is, you can buy the book.
Nice plug. Very good.
But that's why I couldn't remember that we'd actually looked at it, because we don't actually
go
show it as a diagram.
Right.
But yeah, if people are wondering about it, there will be a link in the resources to Maslow's hierarchy. I know that I'm definitely going to find that beneficial for myself. But yeah, I think it's amazing to see what you're doing in the classroom, especially in the UK, because I hear so much about what goes on in the US and the challenges that they face, because one of the biggest differences that I've seen between the US and the UK, apart from the US being so vastly bigger than the UK, and practically every single state is bigger than the UK in general, probably apart from New Jersey. But the fact that in the UK we work on a centralised system where the government makes the decisions of what we need to be looking at within the classrooms or within the schools, whereas I know with the US you have the Department of Education, which comes out with Common Core, but it's not mandatory, it's optional, which is why states like Texas, for example, have the likes of TEKS, which is their own version. So Amy, the best way to describe it is imagine every single county in the UK decided to have their own way of teaching, their own standards to keep to and everything like that. So if a teacher is wanting to move from the likes of...
those poor teachers.
The Middle East up to the Northwest or anything like that, they're going to have to learn the new standards for that dedicated area.
Oh, wow.
Obviously, we're working on a much smaller scale compared to the likes of the US, but it is one thing that I do like about the way that the UK works in comparison to the US. When you're saying about the new ways that they're looking for communication, I know me and Tish have done, there's a bloke called Vin Yang. Don't know if you're familiar with him, Amy. He's an Australian who basically, he's Filipino, lives in Australia but sounds British.
Nice.
Is the combination, because what he did is
Multicultural combo.
yeah, he's a communicational coach, and we went on one of his live streams, and it was all about conversations, how to communicate, how to articulate yourself, how to pronunciate things better, even starting conversations with a complete stranger. Without going as you're saying with your learning, how do we get students to explain their learning without using all the filler words that, like, even me and Tish have pointed out at each other. Tish has pointed them out more at me than I have of her. But we've had the improvements, and it is certainly something that I find very, very powerful. I think my biggest thing now, really, obviously you're passionate about really inclusivity in the classroom, looking after the students within your classroom and beyond with support with the teachers. I might be stealing the question that Tish wants to say so desperately next, but you're obviously involved with technology. You love tech. What 3 tools, and I'm only allowing you 3,
Okay.
would you pick to gift to another teacher?
Ooh, 3 bits of tech.
And why would you choose those ones?
I don't know if gift would be the right word, because I know a lot of teachers already have access to some of these things. They just don't maybe use them as much as they could. Immersive reader is phenomenal. That bit of kit alone has enabled every single child in my classroom to understand every single thing that I'm teaching, because it gives them opportunity for replay. It gives them opportunity to listen to how something should be pronounced before they say it themselves. It allows them to just listen to it if they're unfamiliar with some of the words. It allows you to look at word classes, and it gives you icons for certain words, so you can click on it. It'll give you a little picture or an icon to give them context. Immersive reader, definitely in that top 3. Second, this is tough. I'm trying to think of the ones I use most. Now, you can get free ones, so this is not in any way a promotion or anything, but Braining Camp is digital maths manipulatives. Some of them are free, and you can pay to get more of them. I'm very fortunate that my school has a subscription to Braining Camp, so every pupil can get these manipulatives. So rather than getting all of the cubes out and things, if they want to just do them quickly and, access them at any point, it's got base 10, place value counters, it's got clocks, fraction walls, rec and recs. There's hundreds of things that you can. But that has been brilliant for my maths lessons, particularly because those children that are very visual, it's enabled them to grasp concepts that they may have taken longer to understand. So Braining Camp is the second one for sure. And I'm really, really not saying this just because Tish is in. So please don't think that I am. But Lumio.
Ooh.
Lumio has revolutionised my inclusivity in the classroom because of how versatile it is. I am able to allow my students to be a lot more independent, and I think the gift of that to other teachers can't be understated. Allowing them to take control of their own learning at their own pace has been just groundbreaking. It's enabled those children that need to take a bit longer, that time to take longer when they need it, and those that finish quickly and already understand some of the key foundational concepts of any subject, it doesn't matter what it is, they can then move on to the other things that I've set for them to then stretch and challenge their own learning and understanding. So Immersive Reader, Braining Camp, Lumio.
Amazing. And
That's
a
a
good
great
variety
list.
there as
And,
well. I like
you're
the
right,
variety.
Amy. I didn't even prompt that, and I love
Really
that
didn't.
that is your authentic answer. The truth is, I was thinking yesterday, is sometimes teachers, especially not in America, have a misconception of Lumio, and I think it is that they don't have quite an understanding of, as you said, it's really putting intentional tech and learning, digital learning in the students' hands. It's giving them autonomy of that. And it's not just delivering a lesson, death by PowerPoint or Google Slide or a Lumio slide deck. It's really taking those things and up-leveling how they're delivered, but also how the students are interacting with the content. And I think that's really it is a great tool. And you're right, we're not just saying that, it is. And I haven't heard of the digital math manipulatives, but I love that you have sort of included like 3 really,
It's a really good variety,
I was
right?
gonna say, and a new teacher, right, just going into the profession, not sure what tools they should use. This gives them a really good starting point. I mean,
I could do a whole other podcast thing on tech for new teachers.
Amy, I think we might need to do that. Tech for New Teachers is a good episode. We have essentially, we've been going for almost an hour. And
wow.
I know. Rick, can I please start Juice Box Confessionals now?
I was going to say, would you like to jump into Juice Box?
I would love to. Because
excited for this one.
I know. Juice Box Confessionals is so fun. And, it gets us back into the playfulness of Play Ed 3, which is why I love this little segment. So I think this is going to be a fun little game for you, Amy.
Okay.
I'm going to give you the British word, okay? And then you are going to give, and Rick, you cannot be part of this, so you cannot help her.
When am I ever included in these? I have to sit
you
on the
are.
sidelines.
You are. Okay, so I'm going to give you the UK word, and then you're going to give me the US version. Okay. So we'll start with an. I think this one's pretty easy.
Yeah, I hope this one's an easy one.
This is an easy one. When I'm in the UK, you call it a lift. What would you call it when you're in the US?
Elevator.
Yes. Very good. See, I told you it would be easy. Okay. And then in the UK, you call it a boot. And then in the US, we call it a...
No, my brain went shoe, and that's not what it is. Car, trunk.
Trunk. Yes, exactly. And then in the UK, you call it a biscuit, and we call it a...
Oh, a cookie?
Yes, very good. These are good. We're going to get in a little bit... I know.
Okay. I'm sweating now.
This one is also... These are easy. I know you're going to get them. In the UK, you call them chips, and in the US, we call them...
Fries?
Yes. And then you call it rubbish, and we call it...
Trash.
Trash or garbage. Here is a bonus one, and this is it's just meant to make you laugh. You do not have to. We're gonna let our listeners and viewers, they can look this up. But in the UK, you call it a rubber, and it means an eraser.
Yes.
I know,
yes,
and that's as far as I'm letting this episode go, but based on Rick's laugh. Okay, so now we're going to move into a little bit of like how you say things, okay? So we say advertisement, and you say, what do you call
advertisement?
Do you?
Yeah.
I thought, so I just know when I started working at Wakelet and I was surrounded by Brits 24/7 for like 5 years, advert. I would be like, what?
Yeah.
And I'd have to listen advert.
Yeah, advertisement.
Nobody in America, I don't think anybody says that, like that little, nickname for advertisement. Okay, so Rick and I have we have argued about this before in the UK.
Oh, no.
We might have another argument in a second.
How would I say this? Okay, if I'm going to make a pizza, and I want to put, like, I would put sauce, and then I would put
cheese,
mozzarella. I'm going to do this kind of pizza.
I'm making sure that you're not going to put like cheese and then the sauce on top.
And then
maybe you might put
no,
the base then on.
Stop. No. You're referring to my toast.
Going off your
Quit.
toast, I'm worried about your pizza now.
Okay, so sauce, mozzarella, and then I'm going to put some, what am I going to put on it? The little green leaf. I'm going to put on top of it. What do you call it?
Oh,
Uh-huh.
we've got a lot of little green leaves.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm thinking.
But what green leaves are you putting on your pizza is my question.
I don't know.
Basil?
Basil?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, basil. And I say basil.
Basil.
Yes.
Yeah.
and what do you call that? What category do they go in?
Exactly. This is where I was going with it. You knew, Rick. So what is the category of basil? What is it grouped with? All of the...
Herbs.
The what?
Herbs.
Yes. And in America, we say herbs.
Where's
We
the
don't-
H?
Yeah,
We
exactly.
don't, there isn't
That's
one.
exactly.
There is not
It's
one.
gone. It's vanished.
It's gone.
How do you
Yes.
spell it?
How do you we spell it the Herb? We spell it just like
The
you do,
poor
but we
H.
do not.
I know.
Just
Whoever's
demoted.
listening, if you're really interested in words and all of that, you can look up why we took out the H because I don't have the answer for that today. This is interesting because we have Rick and I have argued about this one. So the phone so I have AT&T phone service, but Rick has T. What is it called? T.
Mobile.
Yes, you say mobile, we say mobile. We shorten it. Like
Mobile.
mobile, like a bull is
Yeah.
charging.
But it's an
let's-
IL, not a UL.
It is, but
Mobile.
we pronounce it with the UL.
Mobile.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
So mobile, you say
Mhm.
herb, you say advert. Oh,
Yeah.
what about the little pills that you take in the morning?
Excuse me?
Vitamin.
Vitamin, and I say vitamin, like vitamin, but vitamin.
Vitamin.
I like to
Yeah.
practice my British accent with Rick, so we do this sometimes as a little like pre-podcast fun. Let's see. I put my car in the garage, and you say
Garage.
and say it again.
Garage.
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 Yeah.
I know. Rick loves it when I do this.
I am going to just preface this by saying where I'm from.
Yes. Where are you from?
My accent is very different.
Where is it? Where is it exactly? I know. Tell me. Because Rick and I talk about this. Rick is in Manchester, so that's northern. Okay.
Yes.
And then
I'm
are
in the middle.
You're
I'm
in the middle. Are you
Yeah.
closer? Are you closer to London?
Birmingham.
Yes, I know where that is.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's interesting because when I practice my British accent, Rick says that I have a London accent, but I'm from the South in America.
She sounds
and
southern.
it
basically.
frustrates
Yeah.
me because I want to be a Manc. And I'm never going to make it with my British accent.
No,
Absolutely not.
manifest, believe.
I believe.
No,
I know.
she's been doing it for the last
I've been
5
trying.
years, and
Yeah, 5
still,
years. It's not going
it
away.
still comes
so,
out that she's like from Bristol or something.
What are some words that we can say just here at the very end? What are some words that you can give me so I can try to say them and Amy can hear it because I try really hard. So what is something, Rick, that the Northerners say different than the Southerners?
that we say different from the. I mean, if you want to say like I'll have a balm, bacon balm or something. That's
A bacon
northern,
bomb.
rather
A bacon
Yeah.
bomb.
instead of a bacon
Roll.
roll.
That's not what I'd say. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
bacon-
also
yeah.
not what I'd say.
Oh, okay.
Do I sound-
which one would you go for then? If it's
Cob.
Cob,
cob.
yep, cob.
Cob.
Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
say
Yeah,
that one
bacon cob.
easier. What's another word?
You're putting me on the spot now.
I
with
know, but I thought you'd
everything.
be ready because
Yeah,
I do think that
Well,
it's.
shall I give
Yeah.
you some of
Yeah.
mine?
Yeah, let's.
So, for example, I know other people will say, "I'm not doing that," and in my neck of the woods, it would be, "I doing that."
Ooh, say that again.
I doing that.
I ain't doing that.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's very
Okay.
British kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I like
nearer
it.
me.
I
Yeah.
love the British slang too. I love learning that. Sometimes I will go on YouTube and I will like just watch a whole video on like slang and the different slangs in different areas because it is
Yeah.
like that in the US.
Yeah, my favourite Southern expression that I've heard, as in like American Southern. I've got friends in Mississippi,
Uh-huh.
and that it's bless your heart. Bless your heart.
Yeah.
Bless
Bless
your
your heart.
heart.
Bless your heart.
Bless your heart, Rick, that you don't understand that sometimes my brain, how did you say it, Amy? My brain doesn't work like yours. I forgot how you said it. How did you say that? Do you remember?
It'd be dough. So I wouldn't say that. We don't say don't. It would be my brain don't work like yours.
Oh, there it is. That is what we are going to leave you with on this fun little segment of Juicebox Confessionals, which is a lot of fun, and we hope that you're having fun with the UK British slang and language. That's what I have. I would say the call to action, Rick, is, let me just pull it up because I think this really encompasses everything that Amy has said, but my call to action, and I believe this would probably be Amy, so Amy, tell me if you disagree, but the call to action is compassion, not authority, inclusivity, and looking up Maslow's hierarchy of needs if you're unfamiliar, or maybe just do a quick review if you have forgotten them like I did. Anything else you want to share with our audience before we end this time with you?
I think just to say that don't let tech frighten you. There's a lot and it can be really overwhelming. Just be purposeful and pick a few key things that you know are going to make an impact in your classroom.
Amazing.
I think that's be what I'd leave everybody.
Great advice, Amy.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being with us. We have had so much fun with you.
And
Thanks
Amy,
for having me.
where's best to follow you if anybody of our listeners are wanting to find you on socials?
You can find me on TikTok. I am _chatty_teacher. So you can go and follow me over there, or you can find me on X, Twitter, whatever people are calling it still nowadays. If you look for the Chatty Teacher, you'll find me there as well.
Fantastic. And all those links will be down in the description as well. So I think that calls our episode to the end. Amy, thanks again for joining us. And to everybody that's listening, we'll see you next week. Bye for now.
Bye. Thank you for being a part of this episode. Continue the conversation with us online. Subscribe and follow, and let us know if you'd like to join as a guest or if there's someone you'd like to hear from.
We'd love to connect with you on X, Instagram, and TikTok. All links and show notes will be available in the episode description. Until next time, keep learning, growing, and playing.